Hey everyone. Today, we're diving into a fable from Aesop. It's an ancient story, but it holds this chillingly modern truth about malice, betrayal, and, well, how things have a funny way of coming back around. This sentence right here, this is the heart of the whole thing. It's a pretty profound warning, right? The idea that the very tool you use to harm someone else often becomes the very thing that brings about your own downfall. It's this wild theme of cosmic irony that you see play out again and again, not just in fables, but in real life. All right, so let's get right to the story. Our scene is set at a pond, and you can think of this pond as a kind of boundary, separating the known world from the unknown, what's safe from what's dangerous. This is where our two main characters meet, and where their fates get tangled up for good. So first up, we have a young mouse. He's full of that naive curiosity, you know? He has a real thirst for adventure. He pretty much represents that part in all of us that's eager, maybe a little bit reckless, and way too willing to trust in the promise of something new. And then along comes the frog. Now the frog sees all this eagerness, not as something to be admired, but as something to exploit. He makes this friendly offer, promising a good time, a new adventure. But underneath it all is this cold, calculated, treacherous malice. The mouse, of course, doesn't want to miss out, so he agrees. And here we go. This is the central and fatal object of our story. The frog suggests, hey, let's tie our legs together with this reed, for safety. He frames it as a helpful gesture. But in reality, this reed is the physical link between the perpetrator and his victim, between the crime and its inevitable consequence. With his victim now physically bound to him, the frog leaps into the water. And just like that, the mouse's excitement turns to absolute terror. The frog's true intention is revealed as he maliciously pulls the struggling mouse down deeper and deeper into the depths until he drowns him. The crime is complete, or so it seems. As the lifeless body of the mouse floats up to the surface, a totally unforeseen force enters the picture. A hawk, circling high above, sees what it thinks is an easy meal. This hawk is like the agent of destiny, right? The cosmic correction that the frog never, ever saw coming. The hawk swoops down and snatches the mouse in its talons. But because of that reed, that instrument of crime, the frog is dragged along for the ride, dangling helplessly from his own trap. In one swift, stunning motion, justice is served. So the crucial point here isn't just that the frog was punished, it's how he was punished. This fable is just a perfect, almost cinematic example of what we call poetic justice. So let's break down what that really means. Every piece of this story plays a key symbolic role. The mouse, well, he represents that naive trust. The frog is just pure malice. The hawk is that external, unavoidable consequence. You can call it karma, destiny, or just plain bad luck. But the most important symbol here is the reed. That's the physical link that connects the crime directly to the punishment. And this just brilliantly illustrates what poetic justice is all about. See, it's not just any old punishment. It's a punishment that ironically fits the crime. The frog used a reed to drown his victim, and that exact same reed is what led to him being carried off to his own death. The frog's big mistake wasn't just being evil, it was his short-sightedness. He failed to sever the connection to his own bad deed. He stayed tethered to the evidence, which made his capture not just possible, but absolutely inevitable the second an outside force showed up. Now, this might seem like just an old story, but this binding reed idea, it shows up everywhere in modern life. Let's look at a few scenarios you might actually recognize. So think about how this plays out today. In our personal lives, the reed is often a digital footprint, isn't it? That colleague who sends a sneaky email to sabotage someone, only to have that same email get screenshotted and shared. Socially, it's the lie someone whispers that leaves a trail of breadcrumbs right back to them, and suddenly, their reputation is the one that's destroyed. And professionally, it's the company that takes unethical shortcuts, where the very evidence of their wrongdoing, like polluted water or cooked books, becomes impossible to hide and leads to their downfall. You see, these examples show some really common traps. People fall into the frog's mindset when they start believing the end justifies any means, when they underestimate that hawk they can't see, or when they foolishly think they can get away with exploiting someone's trust without leaving a single trace. This brings us to the final and maybe the most important takeaway from this whole fable. It's about understanding the true nature of malice itself. The deep lesson here isn't to hope that a hawk swoops in to save the day or punish your enemies. No, the real moral is to recognize that acting with malicious intent is itself the ultimate liability. It creates a vulnerability, a binding reed that you carry around with you. The only real protection is to act with integrity in the first place. So how do we apply this? Well, the source material offers these mantras for reflection. Thinking in these terms, acting as if everything is traceable, seeking freedom from past mistakes, and making sure no evidence of malice can ever float to the surface. That's how we avoid becoming the frog. And that leaves us with one last question to chew on. Just look around at the world, at stories in the news, or even situations in your own life. How often is it true that the specific way someone chooses to inflict harm on another contains the very seeds of their own undoing? It's a powerful thought, and it's one the frog learned far, far too late.